Welcome to Riding Blind. My name is Dan Bracken, your host. We've been following my brother Jeff as he rides his bike all the way across the country from Seattle, Washington to Washington, D.C. He's currently in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Only one segment to go until he gets to Washington, D.C. to claim the fact that he has ridden his bike all the way across the country. He's raising awareness for Usher Syndrome, which is the leading cause of combined deafness and blindness. This past Tuesday, Jeff rode right past my house, which was awesome. I got to see him, got to hug him, took the family out to Young's Dairy in Yellow Springs, ate some ice cream, saw some cows. It was cool. To be completely honest, I'm trying to clear my head so I can even talk to Jeff today. It's been a really emotional weekend for me with the shooting in Dayton, and then I actually got to be on stage at church talking about one of my mentors and making a passionate plea for parents and adults to care for kids. Every kid is one caring adult away from finding life in Jesus Christ. And I can't help but to think that all these shooters around the country, if they would have just had one person tell them, hey, look, you are a child of God, how much different the world would be. Yeah, it's been a rough day, man.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So I guess that was a place y'all probably went to a lot when you lived in the apartment down there?
Yeah. I mean, even as recent as last month, I mean, usually anytime Amy and I go on a date night, we go down to the Oregon district for food.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyway, dude, I miss you already.
Oh, yeah, because we got to see each other.
We did. Yeah, you had a really fun week then. I mean, you got to see family who met up with you in Indianapolis and trekked with you all the way through Columbus, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I knew before calling you that you were going to ask me to recap the rides, and I had to think for a second, like, now that I'm 8 weeks in, like, it's hard to keep track of what ride was what. Like, I can remember things that happened, but I'm like, wait, was that in week 2, or was that this week, or was that...
Yeah.
But I definitely need to highlight, riding with Isaiah. He got to ride with me 3 of the 4 days. Yeah, Indianapolis to Richmond, Indiana. After rest stop 1, he joined up with me on some back roads, and he did 8 miles and very hilly, and his back started hurting. He hadn't done hills like that before.
Oh.
So his previous record was 16 miles with me, and that was in Florida where it was just flat. And so he did 8 miles of hills, and y'all in your state of Ohio, they have tons of bike trails.
Yeah.
So we were just on a long stretch of bike trails, and Isaiah rode from rest stop 1 to 2, which was 20 miles. So he rode the whole 20 miles with me.
That's amazing.
And but that was definitely a highlight of the summer, was just riding with him.
What did you enjoy most about riding with Isaiah?
Just watching him have fun. I mean, if you look at the pictures, we stopped and took some pictures along the way. Like, there's a couple pictures where he's on the fence looking at the train with his bike, under him, and he's just grinning ear to ear, and he's just, so proud of himself. And we compared our top speed. I would go as fast as I could, and he'd go as fast as he could, and, compare our speed. So we just had fun, and just seeing him enjoy doing something I enjoy that we can do together, I think is what's so cool, and he's told me he's proud of me. So, like, your 7-year-old tells a 33-year-old grown man that he's proud of you. That's something special. So his birthday's coming up in a couple weeks, and he's like, Daddy, can I get a road bike for my birthday? I want a road bike. And so it's just another thing that we can do together. And that's definitely really enjoyable. And even though Abby didn't ride, she had a blast at the rest stops waiting for people. She spends all her time making up stories and entertaining and having fun in her own little world. But so it was just a great time with family. But that's why it was definitely special with Isaiah for sure.
I got to catch up with you a little bit at Charleston Falls here in town.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. We went to Young's Dairy and got some ice cream, saw some cows, some goats.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah, and I had to, and I didn't get to finish the whole ride that day because my cable snapped.
That's
Like,
right.
yeah, right. 6 miles before I got to you, my cable snapped, and I thought, well, I can't ride in a van into the rest stop with Dan's been doing this podcast, following my journey. I can't ride in a van into the rest stop, so someone let me borrow their bike for those 6 miles, so you could at least see me ride in.
So speaking of your visit to Charleston Falls, the news was there waiting for you, the Dayton News, right? Like I had called them ahead of time and said, hey, my brother, he's like deaf and blind. He's riding across the country. Might be a cool little like human interest story. And so they come and they did this really awesome interview with you. Like I heard the whole thing. And I think something about local news, just like it always falls short of what the story could be. Like, did you actually get to watch the story on WDTN when it aired?
I did, yeah.
And did you hear what they said Usher Syndrome is?
Yeah, why don't you tell everybody?
At 6, cycling to raise awareness for Usher Syndrome. Cyclist Jeff Bracken is biking across America to raise awareness about the unique challenges of Usher Syndrome, which is the leading cause of combined deaf and hearing loss. Jeff was diagnosed 9 years ago.
The leading cause of combined death and hearing loss.
But then you also pointed out what I think is hilarious is that he hopes to make it to DC by August 9th.
That's right.
So when you say hopes to make it by August 9th, combined with the fact that they said it's combined death and hearing loss, it makes you think, oh, they think I might die before August 9th. So I hope I live long enough with this hearing loss to make it to DC. Because I might just drop dead at any point with my combined hearing loss.
Oh man, I was so upset. I was so sad because I thought I had done Usher Syndrome awareness like justice. You know, I was like, I did my part.
I know.
I'm raising awareness.
You know, I could understand. It would still be deeply flawed, but if they said like combine death and vision loss, as if like death was supposed to be deaf.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they just put death, but no, they put death and hearing loss. Like how? I mean, that's some botched journalism.
Oh my gosh. Well, one thing that I didn't understand also, they didn't give any call to action. Like they didn't give any like information about the Fuller Center. They didn't give any information about riding blind. If you want to follow Jeff and his journey, you know, here's how to follow up with him and continue to be inspired. Right. No, it's just like, hey, this guy's dying and he's deaf. See you later.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, they could have even like, it wouldn't have taken any extra time. They could have just had like a caption up there, like,
sure,
you know, follow the podcast Riding Blind, like while they had my soundbite or whatever, you know.
This is why it's so hard to get any good news out in the world, right? That's why you turn on the TV at night and it's all crap because they don't even know how to tell a good story.
Yeah. Well, hopefully someone will, whoever watched that might look into Usher Syndrome more and be like, wait, how does that work? Death and hearing loss? And then, yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
Although I did hear that there was another news segment, I think on WDTN, that they did about your build day in Springfield.
Yeah, there was somebody that came out. I didn't talk to anybody, but I did see them coming around talking to people. Yeah. Was that another station that you contacted?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay, cool. But, you know, so at least, even if they didn't mess up the story a little bit, at least it's appreciative that they responded.
That's true. Nobody else did. That's right. I reached out to about like 9 or 10 other news outlets and nobody else responded except for WDTN in Dayton. So Channel 2, thank you. What else is worth recapping this week for us? Like what happened between Columbus and... You're in Pittsburgh now. That's insane.
Yeah, I'm in Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's what's crazy about riding. East of the Mississippi is now you're in population-ridden areas. You know, so now it's like coming across big town after big town. Very different than out Midwest.
No joke.
So we went from Springfield, Ohio, to Newark, Ohio, and Columbus was just kind of in the middle on the way. And then Newark, Ohio. So after Newark, Ohio is when we started getting into some hills, some climbing for sure. So different than out west. Out west, I've talked about the climbs out there. They're like 9 miles long, 6-7% grade. These climbs are shorter but much steeper.
Interesting.
So you could get a half mile at 12% grade or a mile at 9% grade, something like that. So they're shorter, steeper. So it's a different kind. It's the kind I like better personally. It's a little closer to what is back home with the rolling hills of Kentucky, but these hills were even more than what I bargained for. They were tougher than back home in Kentucky. These hills were bigger. You would just come up a hill and come around a bend and just get this vast view of a little Appalachian mountain in the distance and some farmlands right in front of you. It was just beautiful, and we've had beautiful weather.
Mm-hmm.
It was exhausting, but I had a blast through the hills. And so from Newark, we went to Cadiz, Ohio, which is where Clark Gable was born. So I saw Clark Gable's home.
Nice.
The guy from Gone with the Wind. But Cadiz, Ohio was getting insanely hilly. And from Cadiz, Ohio, we came to Pittsburgh, and we did over 5,000 feet of climbing on the way to Pittsburgh. And
I'm sure getting into Pittsburgh was kind of tough. Do you have any Usher moments to share?
There were several this week, but I think the two best ones were both yesterday. One funny and one scary. So we were on this trail in West Virginia, and at the rest stop, there was this cute little store that you could go in and get smoothies and just various little drink smoothies, whatever, right? And so I'm in there, and I'm kind of waiting in line. I think I'm waiting. I think my smoothie is being made at this point, and I get this urgent need to sneeze. So I turn and I sneeze, not a small one,
Oh, when you sneeze, it's ridiculous.
I had no idea someone was right next to me.
It shakes the whole house when you sneeze.
Didn't see him in my peripheral at all, obviously, because I was looking ahead. And so I sneezed right on him, and he wasn't standing, he was actually sitting. And so I sneezed all over his leg.
Oh,
and I know, and I'm not for sure, but I'm pretty certain, I've been having, I picked up some people, there's been a chest cold going around. And so I've had this chest congestion, and I know I spit some stuff out of my chest. I was so embarrassed that I wouldn't even look at the guy. I just looked straight ahead, and I even mumbled. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. Now I kind of mumbled it so that I could feel good knowing I apologized, but also was too embarrassed to actually talk to him. So I just mumbled it. The interns were there. The interns of our trip they saw it, and they told me later that he was not happy. But they were all laughing about it. But when I bump into people, it's easy to be like, "Oh, he didn't see you." But when I sneeze on someone, that's just gross and embarrassing, and I really just didn't want to confront it. So I just avoided him. I got my smoothie and left.
Oh gosh.
I mean, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do, but
oh man,
I didn't know what to do.
Well,
I was really embarrassed.
One thing that I'm learning about Usher Syndrome is the social anxiety that comes with it. Because you can fumble around, you bump into things, but then the embarrassment, because you did this same thing when you broke all those mugs right out west.
Yeah.
You froze, and then you just left.
Yeah.
What is it that you think you're afraid of in those situations that makes you flee?
I think it's tough because in a situation like that, you really you want them to understand, but how do you get them to understand? And in a situation like that, that's not a 5-minute conversation. That, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird to be like, well, I have Usher Syndrome. Let me tell you all about what Usher Syndrome is. They're not asking for that, and then you can read their body language, right? Mm-hmm. They're not interested in having a conversation. They're doing their thing, and they want to move on. What should I just be like? I have Usher Syndrome. Look it up, and then walk away.
No, I know what we can do. I can make you a T-shirt.
Yeah, hey, I'll take a T-shirt. Mary and I have joked that I need a T-shirt for at Kroger because sometimes I ride my bike to Kroger to get groceries for Mary, and it never failed. Well, one, it takes me 3 times as long to grocery shop, and it's not because I'm a guy. It's because I had the limited vision, and so when I'm looking for something on shelves, like it just takes me a lot longer to find it. And then the other thing is, bumping into people, and I've gotten rude looks and this and that, and I've always told Mary, like, I need a shirt for when I go grocery shopping, like,
yeah,
just something on the front and the back, and like a big orange flag sticking out of my shorts or something, like I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, no, a shirt to wear would be awesome.
Big shirt that says like help me in big white letters on the front, and then on the back, like, I have Usher Syndrome. What's Usher's? And then just a big definition. And that way, if you sneeze on somebody again, you can just say, hey, look at my shirt, I'm sorry, and then you can leave.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it reminds me of when I was talking about when I bike through the tunnels, like, biker coming through, I don't see you. I just need a shirt that's like, I don't see you.
Here's another idea. Every time you go into a store or something, especially if it's like a coffee shop or to get some ice cream, you just have to bust in and yell real loud when you walk in. Hey!
Maybe I could ask to, how they do the intercom announcement of like, looking for the child, with the pink sweater or whatever. Maybe I just asked to make an announcement over the intercom. Like, yeah, just broadcast it.
Yeah. Hey, man. Yeah. So there's your new limitation to adapt to after your ride is done.
Yeah. I need it. That'd be funny. I need funny ways to adapt. And to make people, because humor, I think, allows people to be more comfortable around you, and not to be so on edge. Like, I think that applies for any disability. I think there's a point where you're want to be sympathetic, compassionate, empathetic, and sensitive to needs, but not so much to where you got to feel like you're walking on eggshells, and then the other person's feeling like they're different and an outcast. And I have found that humor, that's one thing I don't think I've talked about, ways that I've adapted or have overcome, is the use of humor.
Yeah.
The way I joke on myself and has really, I think, allowed me to own it and to let others know, and it lets others know that I'm okay with it. It goes back to that contentment piece, like, yeah, this is what it is, but I'm okay with it, and we're going to joke about it, and we're going to laugh at it, because that's just how, that's one way that I deal with it, So like in college, my friends called me Jeffrey instead of Jeffrey.
Yeah, right.
And I thought it was hilarious, so I went with it. But the first time Mary heard that, when we first met in college, we weren't dating yet, she was like mortified by that. She's like, she just thought that was so insensitive and mean. And then I knew, like, Mary finally caught on, and then it wasn't long before she was, bringing out the jokes too. So that's one way I build a relationship with my students in the classroom. I'm vulnerable. I'm open about what I have, and so when things happen in the classroom, I joke about it. Like, I laugh about it. That way, the environment in the classroom is more fun, it's more comfortable, people can still be themselves, and I need to find more funny ways to be in public.
I have an idea.
Yeah. Okay.
I have an idea. When the podcast is done, we need to create a Twitter or Instagram account with the hashtag DeafJeff or something like that. And we need to, like, on your t-shirt, you could say, have I had an encounter with you that I did not see or hear? Share the story and use the hashtag.
So wait, you're saying other people would share their encounter?
Yeah, because what I want to know now is what that guy that you sneezed on is thinking. There's probably stories out there that you don't know because you don't experience it, but it happens to people because of you, right?
Oh, it's so true. I know that happens because when we're at the mall, and Mary wants me to use my cane because it gives us a more clear walking path. We'll walk through, and she'll have like 3 stories by the time we finish walking through the mall of things that the way people were reacting that I didn't see. Like she would be like, yeah, this mom like snatched her little kid up because he was about to run in front of you, so you just like snatched him up, and like, or she loves when I used to cane because the kiosk people, they don't bother us. They won't even I'll be walking and she'll be like, get your cane out, and she'll tell me like, a kiosk guy was coming up to us. As soon as my cane came out, he just like walked away. So she, so I know there's stories I don't see because Mary tells me things that I don't see.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny.
I really want to hear the perspective from the store owner, the shop owner of the shop out in Yellowstone when you knocked over all the mugs.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Okay, so you had another Usher moment, and you said this one was scary?
Yeah, it was scary. So I knew I was going to have to ride with people going into a city, right? I've been talking about that,
Yeah.
and this affirmed that I'm doing the right thing when I hold up and wait for people to go in with. Because here's what happened. We're coming up a climb, and it's a busy street, and we're coming up over the hill, and there's a traffic light, and there's 4 of us. Okay, I'm third in line. Well, since you're kind of coming up over a hill, we're going at a lower speed, and so the light turned yellow at the first 2 were going through, but I didn't feel comfortable going through, so I was like, I'm stopping. Well, usually there's like the white strip that indicates where you should stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like on the road, there's that like thick white strip.
Uh-huh.
Well, I saw later that they had it in the left turn lane, but not in that straight lane. So I never saw it. So I just stopped. Because I still see the traffic light, in front of me, and it's red.
Yeah.
And the guy that's behind me, Tim, I don't even remember what he yelled, but he yelled at me. And I turn around to look back to hear what he's saying to me. And as I turn to the right, there is a line of cars just staring straight at me. I'm in the middle of the intersection.
Oh no, man.
Right in the middle of it, and they're trying to come out and turn left.
Oh jeez.
It's crazy because one of the girls that was in our group of 4, she was even asking me last night, how do you ride with what you see?
Yeah.
And so I was trying to tell her why it makes it difficult in the city, like why I can't drive.
Yeah.
But I feel like I can still bike, but why going through a city it might be an issue. And one thing I talked about was cross traffic, and intersection, because when I come up, I don't see on the sides, right?
Yeah.
And I should have been scanning side to side, but you're coming up a big hill. You know what I mean? Like I'm coming up a big hill. Like I'm just zoning in on riding that hill and looking ahead. And so this was a good example. She was in the lead of us 4. And so then as we got through, because they were waiting for me up ahead, I was like, there's an example of like why I couldn't drive, or why it's tricky for me getting through a city. Like I don't see that intersection, the cross traffic. And what's interesting is a lot of the riders in our group, they talk about how there'll be some rides where they talk about how uncomfortable they were with the traffic and how close the cars got to them.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, like drivers are super generous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, some of these riders talk about, oh man, this car, like I could, was so close to me, they wouldn't give me any room, and like I have never felt that danger. But now I'm starting to think that maybe it's because I don't even sense it. Like I don't even know the car's that close.
Yeah.
Because technically I don't see the car until it's up ahead a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if I should broadcast that. That might make people feel a little uncomfortable, but it's weird because it almost gives me, if you think about it, almost gives me I have more sense of comfort than some of the other riders.
What you can't see can't hurt you.
Because I'm ignorant to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe that makes it more dangerous, but at the same time, it makes my riding much more comfortable, because if that's what's happening, that I don't realize how close they are to me. I have a mirror on my bike. I want everybody to know I have a mirror on my handle, my drop handle, so I can look down and see when cars are coming up. And we're supposed to be checking the mirror constantly. So, and I stay, on the white line, but I don't know that they passed until they've actually have like gone ahead a little bit, and then they enter my tunnel. So I actually wonder if I'm having a more enjoying or comforting ride in some of those areas because I don't see them come up right on me.
Hey man, you've got one more segment left.
One more segment.
How do you feel?
It's a little surreal. I mean, I'm ready to be home with my family. I kind of miss grilling. So Mary misses me grilling, so I'm excited to get home and grill some dinner. We're going to go camping, so I'm excited to do that. But I'm not going to lie, I have thoroughly enjoyed cycling and seeing the country and meeting all these different people and just accomplishing this. And it's been great. So it's going to be surreal. Yeah, I have no idea what it's going to be like. I know Uncle Paul and Dad are riding the Gap Trail with me on Tuesday, which is apparently a beautiful, gorgeous trail that rides through the Allegheny Mountains, and it's like all crushed limestone. So I'll be on like 90 miles of crushed limestone on Tuesday, but it's going to be beautiful scenery. I've seen some pictures already, and Uncle Paul and Dad are coming up to ride that with me, so I'm really looking forward to that. That might be another highlight. Well, not might be, it will be. Yeah, we're riding, actually we're getting on the Gap Trail tomorrow out of Pittsburgh. So I guess it's tough because I love road riding and just being out in the open road. So this week, like, it's going to be beautiful scenery, but it's going to be more difficult riding because it's not paved roads and out in the open. So I think I'll kind of miss that aspect. I would have liked to have finished strong on some of those kind of rides, but, whatever. It's all about the fun now and being with people. I have no idea what I'm going to be feeling on Friday when I roll into D.C.
Yeah.
So I have to ask me that next week.
5 more rides.
Yeah,
that's it.
So we ride tomorrow to Connellsville, Pennsylvania. Tuesday from Connellsville to Cumberland, Maryland. Then Wednesday is Cumberland to somewhere. And then Thursday is somewhere to Leesburg, Virginia. And then Friday is Leesburg to D.C.
Is there any part in you that, like, feels like you're missing out by not riding all the way to the Atlantic Ocean?
No, and here's why. Because when I started in Seattle, we didn't really start at the ocean there.
I gotcha.
We started at the Space Needle.
Because you can't say that you've officially gone from coast to coast until you, like, touch the Pacific and touch the Atlantic.
Although it would have been cool if I had a picture, like, in the Pacific Ocean and then a picture in the Atlantic Ocean. But
that's what I'm saying, man. So I think you got to start over.
You're right. I should just do it again sometime soon.
Maybe I'll be on a bike by then. We can do it together.
Hey, I would love it. Yeah. So,
cool.
Good stuff.
All right,
cool,
man.
Well, yeah, rock and roll then.
Keep on keeping on, my brother.
Yeah, well, you too, emotionally, with what's going on.
Yeah.
So give Amy a hug for me.
I will, man. Love you, brother.
All right. Love you too, Dan. Thanks, man.
See you, Jeff.
Just see you. Bye.
So Jeff's got one more segment left. He'll be riding into Washington, D.C. this Friday. If the podcast has been inspiring to you, this thing has been completely free to produce. I'm really grateful for Ginghamsburg Church for loaning the gear, the equipment, the microphones, the audio recorder, the cables, so that I can sit in my guest room at my house and record this with Jeff every week. Not that Jeff is vying for a cure, because again, he is content in any and every circumstance, but if a cure came about, he would be just as content to take it, I think. To be content whether in plenty or in want. If you're interested in giving to the cause, if the podcast has been inspiring to you and you're considering maybe giving a financial gift to the Usher Coalition to fund research or new technologies that can help improve vision or hearing, you can actually find Jeff's GoFundMe page at gofundme.com. Just search Jeff Bracken with Ushers, and it's one of the first pages that'll come up. Any funds given there will be redirected to the Usher Syndrome Coalition. God bless y'all. Tell somebody you love them. Join us next week or throughout the week on the Riding Blind Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/ridingblind. And remember, you can be free to live the life you want, regardless of limitation. For more information on Usher Syndrome, simply visit usher-syndrome.org. To learn more about Jeff's trip, visit fullercenterbikeadventure.org. Thanks to Ginghamsburg Church for loaning the gear to make this possible. We'll do this again next week. Thanks for listening to Riding Blind. I'm your host, Dan Bracken.